Another week, and hey everyone, JSD Cool here, and welcome to another live stream from Coolcraft Season 6. Oh boy, hello there. It is once again Friday, and I am not, at least on Friday, away from my computer, which means I can actually live stream once again building some roads. Goddamn, how it's been many months now that we've been just working on roads, and just in downtown. It's just been in downtown when I've been doing this stuff. Damn, but yes, anyhow, welcome back to the live stream once again. Same old, blah blah blah, build roads, build roads. In the last stream, we obviously were building the highway, and we're continuing to that. It looks like we're out to the point where we're putting glowstone on the outsides of the highway, which means the actual deck of the highway, for lack of a better word, is almost complete. Obviously, we got to do like the lines on, or the road lines on top of it, but that's not too much. The median is what really gets interesting. Also, I didn't actually grab any stone. Also, before we get started, I'd just like to say that today's drink of choice. Let's see. That was a very anticlimactic depressurization. But yes, anyhow, today I am doing this stream, at least for the while. I'm drinking purple flavored crush. Now, this says grape, and apparently this is what grape is supposed to taste like, but I'm pretty sure this is just purple. The flavor of purple. It's got that distinct purple flavor. But anyhow, I will talk a little bit about that. Actually, so yeah. I guess we can get going with the glowstone. So yeah, and I can start talking about stuff. So yeah, actually, the reason specifically why I decided to have this today, first of all, is because I don't have Pepsi products at my school, so I had that. I actually could have gotten the Starry, but I didn't, because they actually had it for once at the store, but I didn't want that. I wanted this one, you know, shake it up a bit. Also because this doesn't have caffeine, and yeah, I guess I'll just talk about this now. So tomorrow I'm going on a trip to Boston, and it's gonna be like the third time I've ever been to Boston. So I'm not a totally, although it has been like 6 years since the last time I was there. Huh, season 6. Look at that. But yeah, so because of that, yeah, I have to get up at stupid o'clock in the morning. And so I'm going to basically go to bed right after the live stream. Might watch Wan Show in bed for a little while, then turn my phone off and actually go to sleep. Because again, I have to get up at stupid o'clock, and I want to get some sleep before I have to go. But yeah, I'm probably and so yeah, no caffeine in this. That's the idea. So I'm probably going to well, I'm already quite tired, so that's good. Maybe I'll get to sleep faster. Who knows? But yeah, so I'm probably actually going to at least do some vlogging of my time in Boston, because why not? And actually, specifically as for why, the reason why I'm specifically doing this is because, well, my school offered a trip to Boston for the day, and it's basically free. I mean, you have to pay a deposit, but you get that refunded to you. So I'm like, why the hell not? I was actually informed of it by a friend. I was like, oh yeah, sure, why not? And Jared Cool was originally going to go, but then he decided, nah, I don't want to be traveling this weekend. So I'm on my own or whatever. Well, I'm going friend, but you know. That's basically... Oh no, that is right, okay. I was like, wait, did I mess something up here? No, I didn't. Alright. But so yeah, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, so I have to get a problem. But I still did want to stream this week because it's probably going to be another week or so before I'm able to stream. Okay, I could technically stream next Friday. I will have my computer next Friday. But I won't have the, I mean, to be fair, it's going to be the same situation as the Friday after that. So I could stream next Friday. I don't know if I will, just because of internet speed. It's just, to be fair, that's a really bad reason. I could also, the thing is, okay, I don't know what the stream schedule is going to be like in the next couple of weeks, because while I am theoretically capable of doing it, whether or not I actually want to is a completely different thing. But I theoretically could. I just have to deal with potential interruptions from other people because that's how it is. It also probably would not include the green screen, as I cannot be bothered to figure out how to make the green screen at the other location as decent as this one here. Mostly because of the situation with that. I realistically should take these lights here that I'm using to make this thing so freaking great. Actually, I'll show you what the green screen looks like with these This is what it otherwise looks like. Oh gosh, it looks significantly darker. Without these auxiliary lights here that make this thing the right color. Oh gosh, and I look entirely washed out now. This is what the green screen would otherwise look like, because that's just the light that's shining on me. And I look very, very desaturated. Until I do that, saturation comes back. And the green screen's almost perfect. I mean, you do see this. So using these lights out at the other location would be the probably ideal way I should deal with the green screen, but I won't deal with that till the end of the semester because I don't want to lug these things around. Also, I guess related to the green screen, while I was setting up for the... Actually, okay, contacts for this, first of all. When not in use, the green screen basically gets stored behind the door of my closet over this way, which is actually basically behind my monitor. That's where all the green screen and light stuff just gets shoved into the corner, and I don't have to deal with it. For some reason, after the last stream, which was on Sunday, when I packed on the green screen, I decided, you know what, I'm going to put the screen itself inside of the closet for some reason. I have no clue why I did that. So I was putting this up today, and I was like, wait, where the hell is the actual green screen itself? Because I'm going to set up all the poles and stuff, but it was just like, wait, where's the actual screen itself? And just like, is that in the closet? And it was, thankfully. It was there. So I'd be like, where the hell did it go? Yeah, so anyhow, that was, a bit of fun. And this week's also been fun. It's, flown by. The week has flown by, which has been interesting. I definitely was not expecting it, but, yeah. Let's see, what did I... It's not really been, well, I mean, for me at least, some interesting stuff. Oh, okay, hold on, put it over here. Now the green screen's acting up, great. But yeah, it's been an interesting week. I've had, I mean, I did generally have the normal class schedule, but like, it was also at the same time not the normal class schedule for some reason. Or the contents of this class was interesting. For one, I had a class that the professor ended up supposedly canceling in person. I don't know if he really gave us a reason, but he just didn't want to hold a class that day or something. So he was going to give us a pre-recorded lecture, video lecture, and just make that available at the class time, and then we were just supposed to take notes on that. He never released the video. So when we had class later in the week, he had to just do all that stuff. And that was like the first half of class, to be fair. I do think I preferred it when it was being taught in person, though. Oh, I also forgot then that we had a quiz at the beginning of that class. Thankfully, it was easy. And I actually knew what I was doing compared to the previous quizzes in that class. Oof. Yeah, so that class was a little weird. Then, let's see. Another one of my classes was starting off the week pretty normal. I forget if there was something weird that went on the first meeting of the week. I don't think it did. That's maybe the professor was doing other weird, something that I felt like took way more time in the class than needed, but that was fine. What was more interesting was on the later in the week class when I had, well, it started by him giving back our midterm tests. And I thankfully got 100% on it. But the good chunk of that class was just spent having different people in the class do the problems from the test on the board, which was interesting. That was about the most noteworthy thing about that class. But then we get to the... Oh yeah, the asynchronous class there, the class that just doesn't have a defined meeting time and just like, hey, here's work online. That class was a bit interesting this week. So first of all, it's the beginning of the month, so my video may be a little bit, this week's video is probably a little less of video than I would otherwise like, but for the remainder of the semester, it's going to be like that around the beginning of every month because I have more work to do because of that class, my free time. But one of the things you have to do in this class is you have to do discussion posts, because of course, what else do you do in a completely remote class? You know, actual freaking note-taking in assignments? No. Discussion posts. To be fair, we do have other stuff to do, but we have discussion posts as an additional thing we have to do, which isn't necessarily related to the content that we're covering, which is interesting. Seems like busy work. Anyhow, there are deadlines for when we have to do the discussion posts, but the professor didn't release the discussion posts or the discussion thread for like 4 days out of the 6 days we had to do the initial post, so that was fun. They did extend it they did extend the due date, to be fair, but still, it was like, oh, well, I'm not doing that on the first day, but yeah, I had to do other work for that. Let's see, and then the final class of the week, oh gosh. This one is with the kind of nut job-ish professor. He seems like a kind of nice guy, but like he's been here too long, he's stuck in his ways. Sometimes it feels like he doesn't want things to be any newer than they were in the 90s. Which is, I mean, he's been here for like 30 years or something like that, so you kind of understand that. Anyhow, so we had the midterm for that class this week, and that was in the later part of the week. The earlier part of the week, though, was mostly review, but I swear I didn't pay attention too much in that review, as he didn't cover too much useful stuff. It was mostly, I feel like, blabbering on about unrelated topics as usual. Maybe sometimes he was going into the stuff, then he actually, one point he was going over one of like the review questions, and then I swear he kind of got a little bit sidetracked from actually properly talking about it. Went into all this other stuff while still kind of being related, and I just didn't pay attention. It wouldn't help me at all in the midterm. And then the day before the midterm, he sends us an email reminding us, hey, we got a midterm tomorrow, and here are my test taking rules, TM, which he had on a web page. But he sent us a local IP address to the web page from his local network. I mean, the rules seemed really weird and harsh, and you could tell he's potentially had situations in the past with students. While taking tests, I mean, like, one of his rules was like, don't look suspicious, which includes looking at me. Which was kind of a weird rule. To be fair, and someone even asked him when we got to class on the day of the test, like, how many times looking at you is considered suspicious? Which is interesting. And then he proceeded to not be in the room for a majority of the test. Like, apparently last semester he had issues with people cheating on his tests, like using internet sources to, complete the questions. But then instead of like standing in the back of the classroom monitoring what everyone's doing, he just like wasn't in the room for a majority of the time, so I don't know how he expected to enforce any of those rules. To be fair, I think the class was pretty respectful of them and actually did the work properly, at least for the most part. I don't know. At least I was doing that, and I didn't hear anyone talking. But the test itself, oh gosh, the test itself was really weird. The first question was easy, I think. See, I'm not entirely sure. He's really bad at directions. Oh yeah, we finished this layer of the highway. Yay. Time for exit ramps, I guess. But yeah, he's not that good at giving directions, which is weird for how long he's been teaching here and stuff. And so I wasn't really sure what the point of the first question was, because it's like, oh, just write a what the hell? Sorry. Derailed from the story. Why is who put a minecart on top of the honey device? There's not even freaking bottles in there. There are pretty evenly distributed bottles. I could get a bunch of bottles and plunk them in this minecart. That's probably anyhow. Sorry for the distraction. What was I talking? Oh yeah. So I don't know exactly what the point of the first question is. I feel like the point was prove you know how to pass a structure out of a function in C. I'm pretty sure that was the point of it. But not entirely sure that was the point of it. Because that has barely anything to do with this class. So I was kind of confused by that, but I think what it asked well enough. I don't remember what the question specifically wanted to do, but I think there was a little bit of ambiguity. It's like, well, is it supposed to have this or what? And hopefully I did that one right. The next part of the test was like was something actually course related that we actually did spend a bit of time on in class. I don't know why I made it so important, but it was something with, you know, processors and stuff, knowing how it works, which was fine. Downtown. There's okay. Oh, okay. Oh, what was? Ooh, that's quite high. Let's set it here. Okay. And then the third question was the one that really got me. He gave us a program and said, what issues, if any, exist, or what execution issues, if any, exist in this program? So first of all, you already know that the answer probably should be yes, there is some sort of execution issue then, because obviously he's asking. But I couldn't discern any. You know, I'm pretty good at programming. Look at my programming streams, or hey, watch my hold up. I don't know how to I don't know. I'll just unfull screen Minecraft. That's what I need to do. Well, do I have something for this? Sorry about this. No, I don't. What? Oh, hold on. Is it in this folder on OBS? Sorry, I'm looking at OBS for something here because this is a really good integration for a bit here. Really have a source for that? Okay. No. Oh God, I don't have anything on this scene for that. Okay. Text. Add existing. But anyhow, so, you know, I'm good at programming because, you know, obviously you could check out my programming streams or check out my game at, oh God, that is an old domain. This is technically valid and it's a little bit too big to fit on the screen. That is technically valid. I'm going to change this to the actual domain. Which, yes, that is where it came from, by the way. That initial domain, and just shortening that. Make sure you put the S in the front of there. Oops, that is not the right place. There we go. Okay. But anyhow, yes, check out my game at cbi-games.org, you know. It's a pretty cool game. I've made it basically all myself with sound help from Tyler. Put that right at the top of the screen, a little bit overlaying me. Apparently this is okay, there it goes. Now that's good. Hot. Oh. But yeah, you can check out my game at this link here. Pretty cool. Anyway, but all that just to say that I'm pretty dang good at programming stuff. Oh, hold on. Let me OBS stop being dumb. Okay, good. Back to full screen mode. All right. And I couldn't figure out what issue this program had. Mind you, I did compile and run it myself, and it seemed to work fine. It seemed to be consistent apart from weird edge cases that I could never quite figure out what they were, or I could never figure out what they were or really nail them down to anything, so I'm pretty sure it was a weird bit of my execution environment. But I couldn't find execution issues. Now, the next point was, are there any performance issues with... the next thing we had to answer is there any performance issues with this program? And for that, I was able to see a few situations where it's like, okay, yeah, we talked about this in class. This, and this could be performance issues in this program. But it was still kind of like, oh... and I spent probably a majority of this test then just staring at this program. Just being like, what in this could be possibly an execution issue? As it executes just fine. Also, mind you, he didn't tell us what the program did, but it basically, first of all, created an array, a really long array full of random numbers, and then just added up all the values of the entire thing, which definitely went over the integer limit several times. But that wasn't, that wasn't part of the point. It was just that it would, add up all the values in the array and then, do that quickly, do that in a faster and more efficient manner than, just doing a standard loop through the array, even though a standard loop through the array is only like 10,000 elements long. A standard loop through the array would probably have been sufficient to do it in still less than a tenth of a second on modern hardware. But I mean, I guess this course was written back in the 90s when I mean, the textbook was written in the 90s, back when like computers had a single CPU core and were significantly slower than they are today. I need a crafting table. It's still like just underscores how like different some of the stuff is. But anyhow, mind you, he made the test really recently, but he still teaches to this. So I have no idea what was supposed to, and of course the final part of the problem, I guess, was make any necessary changes to rectify the issues that you have previously stated. Pretty easy stuff. But it was still like, and also, this professor, mind you, he's like, oh yeah, grading, that is, my inventory's a bit full right now. I'll have to put some stone in these shulker boxes. Grading, it's completely subjective. If he feels like you learned, he'll give you a good grade that will never be 100, because that's not possible. Simply not possible, for some reason. No idea. No idea. Anyhow, that was an interesting time for me this week. I don't really think too much else that was particularly interesting happened to me. Or did it? Well, actually, I don't know if I talked about this last stream, but over the last weekend, I spent basically the entire weekend working on a club project, basically. Well, it was basically it was a website. I spent basically the entire weekend working on it. No one asked me to do this, to be clear. But I just decided, you know what? What we have right now is inadequate, and I want to make some significant changes to it. I'm just going to do it over the weekend, figure out how this stuff works, and just make the necessary changes so that it works in the way that I think it should work. And I did do it. Partway through the club meeting, though, this week, another guy was like, we found out that like another guy in the club had apparently, for who knows how long, been developing something that was apparently supposed to be the exact same thing separately from the group that was actually doing it. And I don't think basically anyone knew. I mean, I think one of the person who maybe asked them to do it knew, but no one else actually knew that this guy was doing it. Which was the weird part about it. Whoop. Lag spike? Yep, that makes sense. And so me and the other guys who had been working on, or the other guy who was there, who's been working on this project since the beginning of this academic year, we're like, wait, what? Oh god, that was so weird. Oh yeah, actually, I just realized there was another class thing I had this week. Today, in fact! The only thing I had today, which is a much different class. It was weird. I mean, not terribly out of the ordinary, but a bit weird. The professor basically had us do 2 weeks worth of course content just today because he doesn't want to come in next week. To be fair, considering how long and what we'd actually done in previous weeks, we actually got work. We actually did stuff today, and we actually had work done, or got work done, which was actually kind of nice. You know, we did things properly instead of just him giving us something different to do because he doesn't feel like us doing the real thing or whatever. Well, so that was nice. A nice, weird, same sort of ish thing. Although I did have an issue during the thing where my laptop, which we were using for a section of it, just suddenly, inexplicably, without reason, just decided to disconnect from the Wi-Fi network and not see any Wi-Fi networks. Which was really weird. So I decided to restart to see if that would fix it, and my laptop just sat on the restart screen for a long time. The computer went... No idea. I ended up just holding the power button to turn the system off, and it didn't seem to cause any issues, because mind you, I had closed everything and was already restarting the computer. So I just rolled with it. And the Wi-Fi worked again afterwards, so... Yeah, that was a fun experience. But you know, it's just one of those things. Windows and Wi-Fi, I don't know why it's so bad. Oh, wow. Like, it should not be this bad. I mean, now, my laptop has had significantly less... The thing that I'm using right now, back in 2022 when I got COVID, I moved the computer to... I moved this to my room so that I didn't have to be elsewhere in the house contaminating people. And I was originally just gonna, like, because I do have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, of course, on this motherboard. I was going to just use Wi-Fi to connect to the internet while I was stuck in there during COVID quarantine, whatever. But like, it wasn't working. Like, it would connect, but then it would just disconnect randomly later. We ended up just having one of the spare Wi-Fi mesh routers that we have, just putting that in my room so I could just hardwire to that, which would then Wi-Fi out to the main router, which is always an interesting way of doing things. In fact, actually, that's how the server was initially connected to the internet, because until I bought a like 25-foot Ethernet cable to connect the main router up to, or to drop an internet line from the main router down to the area where the server / my computer lives, we just used a Wi-Fi, a separate router node to connect the server to the internet, because I mean, we didn't have, you know, stupid long network cables or ways to get a network cable to where it was at the time, but we did have those spare Wi-Fi routers, so, and they worked for transmitting Ethernet, so it was like, okay, we'll just do that, and that's what we did for a while. Mind you, you still had to deal with the latency of Wi-Fi, so unless you were me, sitting 2 feet away from the server, who was hardwired to the server via a switch, you did have a Wi-Fi link in your connection. Now, obviously, as I was saying, that isn't the case nowadays, as we do have a hard wire up to the router, or to the main router, where the internet comes in. Yeah. Just thought of a potential thing there. Anyhow, whatever. Irrelevant thoughts in my head. Okay, it's becoming nighttime. Let's go to bed. Yeah, so that's how that works. And yeah, because I'm hardwired here at school, I have a hardwired connection to the internet, which is kind of necessary, as the school's Wi-Fi is kind of ass in terms of its reliability and actual decentness. Like, I will be, and I mean, this isn't necessarily the internet connection. The internet connection beyond the Wi-Fi, as I can prove by using this computer right now, is actually really good. It's just the Wi-Fi itself, I don't know if it's because of how many access points, how many devices around here or what. It's just terrible, because I'd be like, on my laptop on Wi-Fi in the living room, which is like just the other side of that wall, basically same access point as I would have anywhere around here. I'm streaming a game from my desktop to my laptop via Steam Link, and I get all sorts of connection and visual performance issues. Mind you, my desktop's not struggling, my laptop is definitely not struggling, as I can explain this later. It's just the connection is sometimes just going bad for no reason. And mind you, I would assume, I don't actually know how the school sets up the network, but I'd assume that the Wi-Fi access point ends up being connected to the same or to the same switch as my computer is connected, the same network switch as my computer is connected to right now. So it doesn't even have to hop all the way back to necessarily to a farther away switch or routing device in order to switch the packets between my desktop and my laptop. Although, well, I guess technically it does have to bounce off Steam's servers. But I'm actually not sure. I think Steam Link might work over, or might be able to detect that devices are on the same network and therefore be able to, like, or remote play, actually it's called, not Steam Link. Steam Link is different. Steam Link I think is only local network. But remote play is what I'm talking about here. That might be able to just run it over the local network and have decent interactions like that. But yeah, it just like has issues. But the reason why I know it is specifically the Wi-Fi and not an issue is because when I've been home while my computer is actually here, or at my grandfather's house for that matter, I've been able to do flawless remote play while my laptop's on Wi-Fi elsewhere. And this thing's just hardwired here. I've been able to do completely flawless, no issues, remote play. Well, as long as the game's not having issues, but that's not included. Which just shows how bad the Wi-Fi here can be sometimes. Because, I mean, other than that, the internet's really fast. Like, I don't know exactly how they do it. Actually, I don't know even what the heck my the situation was for the room I was in last year. Because last year I got maximum 100 symmetric 100 megabits, basically max. And Task Manager actually showed that to be the maximum speed that I could run at. So that was like, okay. That was realistically enough speed. And so I didn't really care too much about that. And I think it's just because, you know, this is my personal theory. My personal theory is the only reason that was the maximum speed that I could run at there is because they decided to be cheap when they were building the building. It's a little bit newer of a building. So instead of running the full-fat Ethernet cable with all of the wires in it intact from... Ooh, that was a bit of a lag there. Sorry about that. But instead of running the full-fat Ethernet cable from the switch to the ports, they decided to save a buck and only run like the minimum viable amount of twisted pairs from the switch to the port, so that they could save a buck on the wiring while still connecting you with good enough internet. To be fair, yeah, it worked. But here I get the full fat gigabit that the port on my computer / the switch / the cables are capable of. Now, obviously, these are the networking in this school is / the networking equipment is obviously too old to support 2.5 gigabit. My motherboard's also, I think, a bit too old to support 2.5 gigabit networking. So obviously can't get that, but gigabit is plenty. Plenty of speed for me. As long as it works, that is. Because if it doesn't work, well, then well, it's not working then. That's an issue. Yeah. Well, I'm officially not sure what I should talk about next. Let's see. I've been live for 38 minutes. And, there is someone else viewing right now. How nice. Anyhow, let's see. Oop, okay. You know, it is a Friday. Wonder if we could somehow get Tyler on here, as he is theoretically, I mean, I don't know the 100% specifics of this, but he is theoretically able to just come on if he's, I guess, free, you know. But he shouldn't necessarily, to my knowledge, have anything that would be holding him back from just coming online and helping me build out the highway. Why is there a random block of stone jutting up right there? But then again, I probably wouldn't do that. You know. Alright, let's see. What else is going on? Oh, I do have more things to talk about. Yay. Okay. So. Alright, so. I'm going to start this next thing by saying, fun fact. I actually have a rooted phone. A rooted Android phone. Because, well, guess what? I'm a massive nerd and stuff. And I've kind of always wanted to do that ever since I heard about it. It's like, yeah, I could, like, unlock it and do cool things with it. Haven't really found too many cool things to do with it besides cheat at some crappy mobile games. That's fun. But it took me a while after I rooted it to figure out how I even did that. It's just more the fact that I could do anything I wanted with it. But I think I have complained about this on stream before, and I'm not entirely sure if I have, but I think I have complained about this. That actually I may have talked about this last week. Whatever, I'm talking about it again. But yeah, my RCS messages just were not working. Since November. They just weren't working for no discernible reason. Like, I look at the logs when I try, or my phone's logs when I tried to send one, and I get some sort of, not authorized error. Well, it turns out the reason why it wasn't working is because Google, for some reason, decided to ban rooted phones. Rooted phones. It wasn't actually rooted. It didn't actually have to be rooted. From using RCS messages for some reason. Because that makes some sort of logical sense, apparently. I actually do not understand how or why that, yeah, I do not understand how or why that even happens. Like, what the fuck? Like, okay, their reasoning, I believe, for why they don't, why they were doing it was like, oh, to stop, like, spam and bots and bad actors or something. But, like, how is this any different from, like, okay, first of all, how is this any different from just using some sort of on-computer software that uses RCS to send text messages? Because you don't just need Google's messaging app to send RCS messages. You can use any messaging app, or even website, theoretically for that matter, that supports RCS. So you're stopping literally no one to start with. Literally no one with bad intentions to start with. Second of all, it's like, okay, they didn't even notify you. That's why. It just did not work. So yeah, when I found out, I was like, what? Okay, and I obviously went looking at, like, sources and stuff for this, and, you know, a bunch of people on Reddit also had this issue, which was interesting. But, thankfully, because they decided to mess with, because for some reason Google decided to mess with the people who had the power, who were actually, before I actually do this next part, I'll also just say, it wasn't actually that the device was rooted, it's that it had an unlocked bootloader. Which does not actually mean that it was rooted. It probably means that it was rooted. Let's be real. Why else do you unlock the bootloader? But yeah. But the thing is, they decided to pick on the people who can modify their operating system to do what the hell they want with it. Because it's like, yeah, because it's like, if it's rooted, yeah, we gotta do this stuff. It's not like the rooted people can mess with shit and just undo what we're doing. And yeah, because obviously that was what's going to happen when the nerds, because obviously the people who are rooting aren't like grandmas who don't know how to use technology. Obviously the people who are doing the rooting are the nerds, right? So obviously they're going to figure out some way around your doing stuff because they have full access to anything. They have full control over what's happening on their device, right? So, like, there was already, like, a root module that I could install that fixes the issue. It was specifically designed to allow payment and banking services to work on rooted devices. Because that's like the API they were using to detect if the device was rooted. And yeah, I installed it, and like, after my phone had gotten booted up and started up all the services and stuff, and, you know, the messaging services started up, messages started, the recent RCS messages that my phone hadn't received started rolling in. It's like, bam. It just works. Although, I will note, it did have this weird side effect. Oh, sorry, excuse me. It did have this weird side effect where I think it worked too good, because the root manager doesn't think the device is rooted and that it can do stuff. It was also, interestingly, I got a message, I got a little toast that popped up when I opened it up that said, oh, this app was denied super user access for some reason, but my device is still in fact rooted. I can still use root permissions in other apps, so I don't know why exactly it was doing, it doesn't think it's rooted anymore. Maybe it used that API. That would be really dumb. But yeah, so I can't really modify any of the root packages I have currently installed without going through a bunch of effort. But I also noticed this worked so good that Android settings actually doesn't think the device is rooted either. Because I looked in, I was looking at my developer options because I was, you know, doing I was, you know, fucking around with like some mobile app stuff that I was, you know, making or whatever. And, you know, I wanted to, you know, test on my actual phone. I wanted, or actually no, it wasn't that. And I don't remember what it was. I was going through developer options to use the Android debugger. I think it was just so I could just like easily pull screenshots from my camera off my phone. I know, I did a weird system anyhow. I think it was that, and I had to go I wanted to turn on wireless debugging as I didn't necessarily have a USB cable within arm's reach that I wanted to plug in. I think I ended up just grabbing a USB cable because wireless debugging can kind of be a pain sometimes, but it's a cool feature. But I noticed when I was going to turn wireless debugging on, OEM unlocking was available for me to change, which wasn't the case before, because when you actually unlock the bootloader, for some reason Android still shows that the OEM unlocking setting exists in developer options, but it's grayed out permanently on. You can't turn it off, which I guess makes sense since your bootloader's unlocked. But it was allowing me, it wasn't grayed out. It was actually theoretically allowing me to change the option to OEM unlocking off, which I don't think I want to do that, because that might not even work, because I think the bootloader is still unlocked. Android just doesn't know that it's unlocked, because of course we changed the operating system code to not know about this thing called an unlocked bootloader, so that apps would stop complaining. Actually, I think the only apps I've ever actually come across... Interesting. Yeah, the only apps that I've ever actually come across that have actually cared about root permissions are the Spectrum TV app, which I guess that makes sense because they don't want to make it easy for pirates to just use their phone to re-upload everything to the internet. That makes logical sense. And the other one's Down Detector's app for some reason, which makes literally no sense to me because, you know, they have a website that you can just go to. And it's literally no difference. I don't know what possible reason they could have for denying people the use of Down Detector with a rooted device. It just does not logically make sense to me why they would not allow that. Those are the only ones that I have actually known to do it. Interestingly, the app I use for bank to interface with my bank doesn't care, which is really nice actually. Thank you, my bank, for not being assholes with your app development. At least on Android. But interestingly then, the other app that I at least now know about that actually cares about rooted is Google Messages, which will soft ban you from using. Because first of all, if there's a will, there's a way, especially if you can modify the operating system. Just write your app better. Oh, that horse is in the schematic. Okay. Yeah, my solution is just write your app better so that people with root access just can't steal information, right? Because there's nothing really stopping anyone who does have root from downloading the entire app's code off the device, decompiling it, as it's probably written in Java, and if not, they could just use Ghidra to reverse engineer it anyway, and then doing their nefarious stuff with a recompiled malicious version of the app instead. Like, it just does not make sense. There is the whole, oh, well, we know best aspect. And also, this is the additional confusion with this situation comes in is because Google's also, one, they make Android, and two, they're generally pretty friendly-ish. I mean, obviously they don't directly support it, but they don't also directly, for the most part, go against it and make it not happening, because they're generally pretty friendly for rooting. They release, or they have publicly available releases of all the Android installations for each of their devices, which is obviously what I use to do with rooting stuff. They just have that openly and freely available to anyone on their website. Mind you, if you've ever had a Pixel device and wondered why the hell is this update taking forever to download, if you were to go download it yourself from Google's servers, just manually from their website, it would be just as slow, maybe a little bit faster, but generally just as slow. I don't know why the servers that host the files for their updates are just so slow when it comes to their network connection for downloads. That it can't possibly be that many devices are always downloading updates at all possible hours of the day at all times. Like, I get it if the update just came out, but the updates didn't just come out. They've been out for weeks and it's still slow as fuck to download. But mind you, I think it is actually quicker though to download from the website than just do it on your phone. But it's still slow. Mind you, I have to do 2 separate downloads. I have to download the update files, because instead of just fully flashing the entire operating system, which I used to do, by the way, because I didn't know the other option was a thing, I actually properly just manually installed the update from my computer. Oh, I need slabs. Okay, hold up. So I install the update like that, but then I still, for the rooting thing, I need to patch the bootloader. So I need to I don't think they really generally make too many changes to the bootloader for every patch and update, generally. But just in case they do, I always download the full OS install, or full factory image for the OS, and extract the bootloader file from it and patch that newly each time. I download the entire thing for one fucking file and then delete it, just so that I can make sure it's all good. Yeah, that was that. Let's see, what else happens? Oop, okay. Yeah, it's otherwise pretty cool to just be able to, I mean, especially if you know your way around a Linux system, then if you've rooted your Android device, you can just use the super user to just go around in a terminal or the Android debugger shell, and just, look around and mess around with your OS files. As it is at that point, if you've rooted the device, it is just a effectively Linux computer on an ARM that is battery powered and on an ARM processor. That is effectively what Android is under the hood, after all. And you can absolutely treat it like that. Like, you get a compiler, and trust me, compilers do exist. Or compilers for C, C++, all that sort of stuff. Probably Rust. I definitely know Rust exists, actually. C, C++, Rust, probably any other programming language. All that stuff does exist for Android. So you could just write and run your own programs like that. Now, obviously, if you want to do anything graphically, you got to do that through an Android application, because that's how the graphics system on Android works. you want to do anything graphically, it has to be through an app. And at least the entry point for that app has to be at least somehow related to Java, but you can obviously go down to a natively compiled code within that to do whatever the heck you want. Although interestingly, in the Android shell from the ADB system, you can't just directly run any Java program that you come across for some reason. I actually do not understand why. I mean, okay, I think the reason is technically because they don't technically have Java. They have a Java-like system that runs all Java programs and literally is Java in every way, but it's not officially Java, as they don't license Java from Oracle for the purposes of Android because... Well, the actual reason they don't do it is because they didn't want to commit to supporting it. That was the whole reason Google didn't actually license Java from, well, at the time it was Sun Microsystems, when they bought Android. Like, they otherwise did offer to, but they were like, okay, you can't, okay, we'll license it to you, but, I mean, besides, you know, maybe fees or whatever, it's like, oh, under the condition, though, that you actually, like, support your forked version of it, you know, provide support for it for like extended periods of time. And Google's like, nah, we don't want to do that. We might kill this project in 6 months. As Google does. Obviously they haven't, and they probably could have safely said, we'll support it and been fine. I mean, heck, nowadays, 7, 8 years, I forget what it is, of security updates on the Pixel 7, nowadays they are officially committing to supporting it, but I think they got into some trouble with, or they got into some beef with Oracle after they bought Java and they still hadn't properly licensed it, so I don't know. Oh yeah, we can also, I guess, continue talking about how I absolutely hate Apple. I mean, nothing's new there, but you know, they're still on their fuck you developers and EU plunge, and the EU is like, okay, well maybe our last system didn't work for your choice, but our new system is sure to piss you off all the same. What was it now? Because they did announce a new system. I forget what their new system was. What was the new system that they made? I don't remember what it was. It was something like, oh yeah, no, we're only going to allow people, or maybe it was like they announced conditions for creating your own app store, which is still completely against what the EU has been trying to do. I was like, oh, well, you have to have been around for, you actually have to have your account, your developer account with Apple for like a couple years, and you have to be in good standing with Apple to use it, to be able to do that stuff. Ugh. Still such shitty practices and completely not the spirit of the law, and I'm sure... Sorry. I'm sure the EU is not going to take Apple's bullshit and is going to be like, no, you do this properly like it's done on Android, because Android is technically compliant with all these EU regulations regarding multi-app stores, as you can, on Android, if you really want to, install literally anything that isn't the Google Play Store without the use of the Google Play Store as well. Which, if you didn't know that, you know that now, and that's why no one ever really talks about Android in these situations, because you can. On Android, you really can just do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to download this malware from the internet and install it on your device, you can do that! Maybe you shouldn't, and that's Apple's whole, like, logic. Oh, people are too stupid to figure out what's malware and what's not. No, that's not it. That is not at all it. That's their excuse. Their real excuse should just be, well, we won't make as much money if you do, if we allow that. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the idea, dumbass. I mean, like, does Google suppress third-party app stores? Probably, yes. I mean, if you're not installing from the Google Play Store, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to use the Google Play services. which obviously come along with the Play Store, which a lot of apps do, but you know, you don't technically need to use those to develop an Android app. And especially if you're not doing anything with games, you really don't need to use anything that has to do with Google Play services. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about, right? Alright. So, the other thing I need to talk about here. Microsoft shutting down Windows subsystem for Android. This kind of sucks. Because Windows subsystem, I still cannot say it. Windows subsystem for Android was a legitimately cool feature of Windows 11. I actually don't know if it would have worked on Windows 10. Not entirely sure. Basically, if you don't know what it was, it basically allowed you to run Android apps natively on Windows 11. Which was pretty freaking cool and very useful for Android development if you didn't want to have to bother with going to a fully physically separate device. Freaking amazing. It did have a bunch of limitations, like, you know how like you get like RGB light strips, you can control them from an app, but it's like only an app on your phone. There's nothing like, you can't use anything on like Windows to control it if you wanted to, or you can't integrate. You might be able to integrate into other stuff, but probably not. I mean, at first I was like, oh cool, I'll just be able to use Windows Subsystem for Android to do this. No, that wasn't an option. Well, yes, the app installed just fine, but it didn't work. It wasn't able to find any devices because Windows Subsystem for Android did not expose the actual computer's Bluetooth to an application running, which sucks. It really should have, but it didn't. Let's see, what was my other option? Or what was the other thing about Windows? Oh yeah, actually another situation where I actually kind of found it useful is, so the smart doorbell that my parents installed has, of course, an app that you can do all the smart doorbell things from. But it doesn't have any way, I don't think, on the desktop to access the feed from the doorbell. Which is kind of annoying, as sometimes I don't want to just have my phone with the doorbell feed up if I'm waiting for a package. I just want to like put it on a second monitor and just be like, cool, there's the front step I can monitor for when my delivery comes. Very unfortunate that that's not a thing that they support. I mean, they still could support that in the future, I guess. But that's why Windows Subsystem for Android is cool. So I could just install the Android app for the doorbell on my computer. In this case, it happened to be my laptop. And then I could just watch the doorbell from a computer and not have to sacrifice my phone to do just that purpose. And I could also do other things on my laptop at the same time if I really wanted to. So that's why Windows Subsystem for Android is cool. But I don't exactly know if that was necessary. But now let's talk about the actual out-of-box experience and why this kind of was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Microsoft decided, in its infinite wisdom, that Windows Subsystem for Android and installing Android apps should only be accessible through the Amazon App Store. That's right. You had to use the Amazon App Store, which you get through the Microsoft Store, which was, that was fine. But if you wanted to use Windows Subsystem for Android, you could only do so by downloading apps from the Amazon App Store. You didn't have another option. Although I never really played around with that stock version of Windows Subsystem for Android because I was too good for that. I wanted to install Google Play on my Windows Subsystem for Android because it does just run Android apps after all. So I wanted to just install Google Play and then get apps from there, which is what I did. And so I looked it up, and of course, someone did that already. It was an open source project. Still exists, actually. I don't know if they've archived it, but considering they were making literal improvements to the project and the installation process the day that the shutdown occurred, because mind you, all this happened on Tuesday when the whole service got shut down, which was like the same day they announced it. Anyhow. So people developed something that would, you can just build it yourself and then it'll also install Google apps and stuff automatically. And it also, of course, installed a rooted version of Windows subsystem for Android that had a root manager installed. I have never really used the rooted functionality, but it's pretty cool that it was automatically rooted. And at least with this version, because again, I never really used the stock version. Too late now, I guess. I could build apps from IntelliJ or whatever else directly to Windows Subsystem for Android and run them on the same device I was developing on, which was a huge, huge thing. But yeah, as I said, Microsoft shut it down. Now, can anyone, and I mean anyone out there, possibly guess why they shut it down? Who I know one actually used this, at least from the Microsoft Store as intended. Could it be because no one gives a shit about the Amazon App Store and no one wants to use it? Because if and no one wants to use this feature if the only way they can use stuff from it is from the Amazon shitty App Store? If you guess that, well then you're probably right, because instead of, just doing the thing and, just putting Google Play on there themselves, they partnered with Amazon and only offered Windows Subsystem for Android through the Amazon App Store. And because no one wanted to use the Amazon App Store, no one used the fucking Windows Subsystem for Android feature, which was really cool. And that was actually one of the kind of selling points of Windows 11, if I remember correctly, from the Windows 11 launch event. You can run Android apps on it, as long as it's from the Amazon App Store. But you actually, not necessarily. So the official version doesn't work anymore. I think if you already installed apps, you might be able to still use them, but the actual Amazon App Store is gone. You can't install it anymore. You can't install anything new. Of course, the version I have being self-built and an open source project, I believe it does still, I was still able to use it just fine. Still works. I'm afraid a Windows update might break it, but I hope that the makers of the open source project do continue to improve it, because it's legitimately cool, and the open source project does still work. I primarily liked it for Android development, and, maybe give it a try, I guess. If you have a Windows 11 computer, give it a try. Just search for, if you want to try Windows Subsystem for Android now, I believe you got to do it via the GitHub, the open source GitHub repository. I believe it's called something like Magisk on WSA. Just Google that and you'll be directed to the repository. There is a line at the top of the README. It's like, hey, this will stop functioning on March 5th, which was the day that Microsoft shut down Windows Subsystem for Android, but I'm not entirely sure, but I think it might still work if you just build and install it yourself. Maybe it doesn't, though. And I don't know, because I've just been using it myself. And also, I think the reason why, in particular... Oh yeah, actually, a specific thing with this, and I don't know why... I'm still actually not entirely clear on why they decided to do it this way. You do have to build the project yourself. They do not supply you with binaries that just automatically work to install it. You do have to build the project yourself in Linux, of all things, and then install it on your Windows computer. But if you do that, it's still the great Windows Subsystem for Android experience that you would get otherwise, so just without Amazon's terrible App Store, and with the Google Play Store. But yeah, sad to see that go. Hopefully the open source project that allowed it to be actually useful for me continues to hang around and makes it useful for other people in the future. And hopefully it just doesn't break. Because I'm not entirely sure if Windows Subsystem for Android actually relied on anything specifically Windows 11. Or if it was just effectively just a general program that could be run on any Windows computer. I mean, obviously, from Microsoft's angle, obviously installing from the App Store could only, or the Microsoft Store could only be done on a Windows 11 machine, which makes sense. Because they were promoting it as a feature of Windows 11, upgrade and you can get it. I mean, I guess I could actually try copying the files for it over to from my laptop over to my desktop and just running it and see if it'll work on my desktop. If it does, then, well, so much for Windows 11 necessary. Oh, I need more slabs already. Damn. But yeah, that's, very sad. Why, Microsoft? Why? You could have just opened the whole thing up and been like, hey, we're not supporting this anymore, but you can still do so. I mean, I'm sure the whole reason was partnership with Amazon. It ended. Neither of them liked it very much. And because of the partnership with Amazon, they couldn't offer other options to just install the subsystem itself, but not in... I feel like they should have offered the ability to just install the subsystem itself. Do not install any apps with it, and you have to figure out how to install the apps yourself. Would not have been very developer friendly, or not developer, end user friendly, as you would have to use a terminal with the Android debugging tools to install apps, which is, to be fair, how you can do it. But they could have just still offered the subsystem itself, stop supporting it, stop updating it, but leave it around for people to use, and then maybe take it away once security vulnerabilities get too much. That's how... there's a skeleton under here. That's how I would have done it. Just neglect it. And just be like, hey, put like a label on this page, warning, this project is no longer support, or this product is no longer supported. Use at your own risk. The thing is, at least the rooted version emulates a Pixel 5, I know, from signing into Google Play on it. The rooted version. At least it emulates a Pixel 5. Which is curious, but okay. To be fair, I never really used it all that much for the Google Play Store, just that I could, really. And, recently, the only thing I ever actually used it for the Google Play Store was to get a pretty simple mobile game from my phone and put it onto my computer so I could just play it there when where I had a mouse for much more fine control over what I was actually doing. To be fair, it is completely offline single-player game, so it's whatever. Yeah, still such a shame that that's gone. Ooh, sorry. Oh, yes. Alright, a couple other things happened in the world this week. So, obviously, in terms of American politics, Super Tuesday was this week, aka the day that like a ton of states have their primary elections for some reason. And it went literally as you would expect it to. On the Democrat side, Joe Biden won all the states' primaries. He didn't want to win American Samoa, though, interestingly, and I don't know why they hold a presidential primary, considering they do not have any electoral votes for president, which is interesting. And on the Republican side, things also went basically as expected, where Donald Trump won all the states apart from Vermont, which went for Nikki Haley, who subsequently dropped out the next day because after the Supreme Court decision from last week stating that Trump could remain on the ballot, she was finally like, okay, there's no fucking way that I could possibly win this. I'm gonna leave. Gonna just drop it. Because really, I mean, I was like, okay, she's definitely here just in case Trump gets kicked off the ballot, and then she can swoop in and attempt and fail, by the way, to clutch the nomination, as let's be real. Even if Trump got taken off the ballot, he would still be the nominee. Like, these guys are insane enough to do that. But once the Supreme Court was like, yeah, no, we don't really have a law we can do that under, so sorry. She was finally like, all right then, I see the writing on the wall. I will drop it. To be fair, why was she lying to me? Like, oh, people deserve a section. She should have said no. Considering she was probably antagonizing him, she should have like, no. She should have been like, he's going to get kicked off the ballot, and then I'm going to be the nominee. You see, that's why I'm in this race. But, give people another choice. To be fair, she did pull reasonably good numbers for the fact that, for the current state of the party, she pulled really good numbers, actually. Like, getting anywhere from a tenth to nearly half of the primary voters. These aren't general election voters, these are primary voters. In almost every state. That is actually really good against the fact of against what we're seeing. That is really good, and at least like half of the people that did vote for her were saying, "Yeah, I'm never voting for Trump." You know, they say that now, but let's be real. When they get to election day, what are they gonna do? They hate Biden for some reason, which brings me on to the next thing that happened, which was the State of the Union address from yesterday. Yeah, that was, you know, a great speech. Probably best one I've ever seen Biden give. And I cannot articulate why, it just was. It was great. He did, like, everything right in that speech. Now, obviously, he did stumble over his words a couple times, but, hey, we all do that. I've done that a couple times in this stream. So, I don't see that as too big an issue. Like, it happens. Clearly, he was on point. He knew what he was trying to say. You know, words are hard. I get it. I hope the rest of the country gets it. But he said things as they were. He played it really smart, never actually mentioning Trump. We all knew who he was talking about. I mean, he said my predecessor. Who else could that be? Obama? But he did, like, just a really good job at doing it. He also only really announced... I was kind of like, okay, so this is going to be, like, really the start of his campaign for 2024, right? Like, this is going to be when he just, like, starts going into the, hey, this is why you should re-elect me. And that's absolutely what it was, but he did a really good job at it. While not only, you know, start launching his, like, official... you know, in the public opinion campaign for office. I mean, we all know he's been doing it. Obviously, he's been fundraising, but, you know, not only doing that, but also doing it effectively while reporting on what the actual State of the Union is. That was quite effective. And I don't know about you, but that didn't seem very sleepy fall down the stairs Joe to me. I mean, yes, he is old. Is that a concern? Probably. But given that performance that he put on last night, it's clearly not an issue. I mean, sure, 4 years is a long time, but you have to be able to know that goes both ways, right? I mean, like, it really does not. It's like, well, okay, so like, if you actually go, and here's the thing, if you go back and watch Trump's congressional address from 2017, which is effectively the State of the Union address, but, you know, because he'd just been elected, it happened later and wasn't called State of the Union, whatever. If you go back and watch that speech, he doesn't seem unhinged at all, which is crazy. Because we know this guy to be as an incredibly unhinged person, but he seems normal in that speech, which is crazy to me. Like, wait, he sounds normal. What the hell is going on here? And then 4 years later, you have him telling people to take horse tranquilizer, or to consume horse tranquilizer to get rid of a disease that is definitely not cured by horse tranquilizer. So it's like, okay, a lot can happen in 4 years, but if that's how he progressed in those 4 years, and we've seen how he's progressed in the 4 years since, it's not going to be good in the next 4 years. I can tell you that. All right. Anyhow, that's enough of politics for now. But yeah, really strong State of the Union. I think it was great. Oh yeah, the one policy decision that he actually did announce was, of course, the Gaza aid, which was like, okay. And then when he was talking about that, I was like, okay, he's gonna do both sides. He's gonna, like, pull on both sides, because obviously he's trying to get as many people to, you know, be, yay, this guy is great as he can, which obviously means playing to the base. That's obviously what he needs to do. But also getting the common people on board. So I could say mostly for the common people, he was talking about how, oh, you know, it was horrific what happened, they need to defend themselves. But also for the other part of the base, the part that's been a bit protesting because they don't like his Middle East strategy, you know, they're more pro-Palestine, whatever. He was like, but we are also sending aid to them. Israel does have the responsibility to not commit genocide here, all that sort of good stuff. And I think he walked that tightrope really well, appealing to both sides, without hopefully royally pissing off one. Let's be real. I think he did a good job both ways. Some people are still probably royally pissed with how he's handling that situation. I get it. Can't please everyone, but he tried. He tried. Apart from the hardcore right-wingers, of course. He didn't try to please those at all. In fact, he actively tried to piss them off in the speech, which was hilarious. Now, where was one time... let's see. One time was mentioning how people actually like the Affordable Care Act. That was one time he tried to piss the right-wingers off in the speech. That was great. Let's see. I can't really think of any other times. To be fair, I don't remember too much of the speech. I just remember that I was like, throughout the whole thing, I was definitely thinking, wow, this is actually pretty good. He's doing a really good job. Like, it's like, oh, that was a good one. You got him. Like, oh, got him. Haha, get screwed, guys. Oh, yeah, there's also the moment when he was talking about how the research into the vaccine and stuff. I don't know why he was specifically talking about this, because actually the vaccine was actually mostly developed and funded under Trump. For some reason, the Republicans are the ones who hated the vaccine as well. Not even going to get into that. He was talking about how, oh yeah, and the research that was done to make this vaccine and the results of it are now being used to find treatments for cancer. And like, the Republicans, like obviously all the Democrats were like, oh yeah, oh, clapping for that. None of the Republicans stood up and cheered for the fact that something that, mind you, happened under Trump is now being used to treat cancer. Like, what the hell? Like, how are you against curing cancer? Curing cancer, I mean, I know you're big business and all that sort of stuff, but curing cancer could be a billion-dollar industry. Any company that finds a cure for cancer is gonna be able to make fat fucking stacks out of it. Yeah, you can't get those recurring payments of all the cancer medication, but you can, and they probably will, let's be real, charge exorbitant amounts for this cancer-treating medication. And also, people are always going to be developing new cancers, right? They're not preventing cancer outright, they're just getting rid of it when it does exist. At least in theory, a cancer medication would do that. Or a cancer eradication medication would do that. And so people are always going to be developing new cancerous tumors or whatever, whether it's in their brain, skin cancer, lung cancer from smoking, whatever it is. It's not like the problem's ever going to fully go away, but if we can, as a species, be able to just say, no, die, bam, and it's gone, well, obviously we will. And they are going to, and the company that develops this technology first, assuming it is, a pharmaceutical company and not just general researchers who do patent it, but allow anyone to make any version of it. Whoever develops this stuff is gonna be fucking rich. That's just a matter of fact. They're gonna get fucking rich off of it. If they're not already stupid rich. And if they're stupid rich, they're gonna get stupider rich. And all the other pharmaceutical companies are gonna hate them because no one needs to buy their expensive cancer meds anymore. They can just get rid of it with this other stuff. Anyhow, yeah, and then once the patent on the cancer cure expires, generic versions from every company under the sun are going to come out, and we're going to actually be able to effectively get rid of it without bankrupting ourselves. Oh yeah, that's another thing that I mentioned was the absurd cost of prescription drugs and how the government, at least on Medicare, is now capable of negotiating with Big Pharma on the prices they pay. Because as an insurance agency, they weren't able to do that. As an insurance, they weren't able to do that. Because actually, fun fact, private insurance can actually negotiate with companies, suppliers of medications, about how much they are actually going to pay. They have leverage. They have tons of people that could theoretically need this medication, and they have tons of money which they could pay, or they could potentially go to the competitor. So there is a bunch of leverage. At least this is what the negotiating power comes from when we're talking medication negotiations. But probably because of some short-sightedness back in the Obama administration and then further roadblocks by Republicans, Medicare was not legally allowed to do this. Now, I don't know for how long this has been going on, but the veterans But the Veterans Affairs Agency, the VA, they were allowed to do this. So veterans who got health insurance through them could get cheaper or get their medications for less because they were able to negotiate, but general American healthcare general public American healthcare, which is actually surprisingly a thing. It's not good, but it's at least a thing. It's a start. General American healthcare is actually now able to do it, which saves not only the average everyday person money because, you know, we don't have to pay stupid prices out of pocket for medication. God, I'm getting hot. But it also saves generally I'm just repeating the speech here basically. But it also generally saves the taxpayers money, as if Medicare is obviously a let's be real, deficit funded program, which uses the resources of the federal government to pay for things like this, as an insurance agency would, although probably at cost because, well, their goal isn't to, you know, make money. Their goal is to make a healthier America, which is good. Anyhow, but yeah, so because they can now negotiate and don't have to pay out the nose for whatever the healthcare companies want them to pay, just say that they're going to pay, they can, the government as a whole has to pay less for medication, which in turn means the government is spending less money. And I think you can fill in the rest from there. If you can't, you need help. Help that I cannot get, because I am not a trained professional. Nor am I an economist, but I'm still talking about this. Yeah. Alright. Let's see, I have been live for 1 hour and 25 minutes now. I was also actually prepared for the stream for once in my life. I got back from dinner today. I was like, okay, we're gonna finish the video that's going up on Sunday. And then we're just gonna prepare for the live stream. We're gonna set the thumbnail, the title, get it all set up. Let's go. And yeah, I actually got into the right and ready position here to stream again with green screen and all that stuff. And I actually don't know. Let's see. Say a couple of minutes past the hour, I was able to just be like, all right, we're going. We're good. Of course, actually, one of the last things I did before I pressed go live, besides, I guess, that's a little important, that one, was I was actually obviously connecting my headphones. And Windows was being a jerk, as always, as it is with wireless technologies. It was just being a jerk, like, oh, sorry, I can't connect. Make sure the device is what the hell? Oh, there was a turtle here in the schematic. I know there are 2 turtles here. Anyway, Windows was like, oh, I can't connect to the device. Is it even there? And I was like, oh, come on. Please don't tell me I have to restart my computer. I was like, okay, if I just turn Bluetooth off and on, will it work? Oh, cool, it did. And now it's just fine. Sleep, that's what I came here to do. Also, the temperature recently has been, it's been wild. So last week it's real cold and then it's real hot. And it's actually maintained a decent temperature, although today it had a wild temperature swing. When I woke up, it was 35 degrees out, according to my phone. And then it got up to 55 degrees in the middle of the day. And now it's going down again. March is weird in temperature-wise. Oh. But anyhow, that's Earth for you. Let's see. Whatever am I going to talk about? Alright, something else that I believe happened in the last week or so. The White House said that, or the White House announced that it no longer considers languages like C and C++ safe to use as they are not memory safe. Which is an interesting development. One, I did not expect them to know what programming languages C and C++ were. But two, that they took some initiative in saying, yeah, you probably shouldn't use them because they're not necessarily safe. Instead, using a language like Rust, which is memory safe. And I generally agree. Using memories that are a bit safer with the memory, don't require as much manual user memory management, and don't allow, or actually have like bounds checkings, not allowing things to access the incorrect memory values, is probably a good thing. I'm going to shove a bunch of crap into here. But yeah, it's like, it's really caught some people by surprise. And actually, I'm going to just talk about it right now. Like, I personally have a preference. I prefer languages that, or I prefer languages that don't require the user or the programmer to manually manage the memory of the application, because that's just extra stuff that I have to think about how I'm going to do it, how to make sure that I'm only freeing it when necessary, but am always going to not cause memory leaks and not accessing free data, because that is important, obviously. And it's just simply easier to program in a language that doesn't require you to manage the memory yourself, as it will automatically manage memory for you. Like, for instance, Java is an example of that. You could also say Python, for instance, C#. There's a lot of languages at this point that do automatically do the memory management for you, and it's undoubtedly a convenience for when you're writing it. Obviously, the overhead of having a garbage collector to manage the memory for you, that does in fact eat into performance a bit. But the people that make garbage collectors are really smart, and computers also have a lot of processing power these days, so it's usually quite imperceptible to notice the existence or running of a garbage collector. You also might be able to just control when the garbage collector runs in a good chunk of languages, so you could say, okay, don't run the garbage collector until I say so, and then only run the garbage collector either when memory gets full and it needs more memory to do stuff, or have your program tell the computer when to run memory, or tell your computer to run, or tell the garbage collector to run when your program's not doing anything particularly time sensitive or important. Or you could just have it run all the time and not really care, because it's not your problem. To be fair, I don't think garbage collectors these days are ever truly like, oh yeah, we will only ever do it. We only ever do garbage collecting once and completely once, because that would probably be too infrequent, but they're a little bit smart in their design. So obviously, I believe the way they work is that they are fairly regularly scanning for unused stuff. But they're, I believe what's called generational, meaning that they group objects into different kind of, well, groups. Ones that have been created recently and need to be checked a bit, or need to be checked frequently to see if they're still in use, and then ones that have been checked, or ones that have been checked a couple times and have definitely been in use for a bit of a longer period of time, and therefore don't need to be checked because they're probably going to stick around for a while. Okay. And that's a pretty smart way of doing it, because I can tell, say, from experience from making my game, there are definitely objects that are created and used for less than a whole millisecond. Or a whole ton of objects are created, used for less than a millisecond, and then completely discarded. And if all those were just added to the memory used and then had to be manually wiped out at some point when it got full, that would be a very inefficient design pattern to use. So doing these less frequent memory checks is definitely a good idea, because the way that... Actually, I guess I'll talk about this. I think I've talked about this. So the way the collision system now works in my game is that it basically, without going into details, it creates a whole bunch of objects which are used to store data about the collision of every object, or the data about the potential collision for every object, and it's continuously checking those. And every physics frame, every time it loops through the entire set of things to might collide with. God, I'm being terrible at this. But every time it loops through the things that it has potential to collide with, it's going to be creating at least one object per thing it could potentially collide with. And so if all that had to be garbage collected after it decided that it had enough, that would be incredibly inefficient. Okay, my mouth is getting really dried out, and I have run out of liquid in a bottle, so I am going to... hang on. I'm going to get some water, and I will be right back. And I'm back. Sweet water. Anyhow, hopefully I didn't miss anything. I don't think I did. Alright. Let's get back to the grind. So, let's see. Oh yeah, so I am actually this season doing quite well on episodes, I believe. Barring a few situations where I've taken a break for a week or two, I have actually stuck to that one episode a week schedule that I set myself pretty well, and at this point I believe I'm ahead of Season 2 for the number of episodes, as in Season 2, Episode 22 came out at the end of March. And I'm at episode 24 this week. That is quite the ordeal for me. I think season 3 had something like 24 episodes in it in total, which wouldn't surprise me. You know what? I should actually check. Once I get to the end, I will start the process of checking how many episodes season 3 had. Also, have I properly put all the seasons into playlists? I know season 1 and 2 are properly in a playlist. I don't know if season 5 has been put into a playlist. Season 4 might have. I should do that if I haven't done that yet. Because, well, anyone who wants to just watch through all the episodes, it'd be much more convenient to do so in the form of a playlist than in the form of just hoping YouTube will recommend the next video to them. Alright, playlists. Okay, I only have season 3 and 4. Season 3 had exactly 22 episodes. Damn, I should put season 5 in a playlist. Season 4 had 29 episodes, so within the next couple months, May-ish actually, we're probably... Okay, so we're right at the beginning of March. Actually, end of April, we're going to beat season 4 in terms of number of episodes. And let's go check how many episodes in season We're already out. Wow. We've already matched season 5. This is going to be one of the most... this is going to be one of the longer or the higher episode count seasons. Damn, I'm actually kind of surprised. We've already beat season 3, and I didn't realize how short season 5 was in episodes. Damn. I actually did not know that season 5 only beat season 3 by 2 episodes. I actually felt pretty good about my frequency in season 5. Apparently, I wasn't that good. I can actually see why. Roommate issues, procrastination on the industrial rail project. Yeah, I can kind of see why. I will say, I haven't had good feelings about all the episodes that I've been making this season. Some weeks I've been like, oh, I don't know if I really can do an episode this week, or I feel like an episode's maybe out of reach a bit here, or I don't think the content's gonna be, but I've pulled through. I've done 24 episodes, which is the same amount as last season. Damn, I could stop here. With my record, I could stop here. There we go. Of course, I don't think, unless the season keeps going long and becomes the longest season, I highly doubt I'm ever going to beat season 1 or anytime soon, not definitely this season. Season 1 with 51 episodes numbered like that. I think, wait, was it 52? Oh, I don't know. 51, 52 episodes is how I got season 1 numbered. I know it was over 50 though. That was impressive. But I only ever uploaded but there's only like 50 episodes of season 1. Or 51, or whatever it is. There's like a couple less episodes because we're missing one. Oh, actually, no. Season 4 had 30 episodes. That's right. I should upload and then put it in the unlisted list, or put it in as an unlisted video in the playlist. The lost episode of season 4. And the only reason why I know, I know I produced this episode, but then apparently just never uploaded it. And the reason, I don't know how I just didn't upload it, but I remember I was looking back last season at some point, like through my list, and just noticed that it went from like episode 14 to episode 16 or something like that, and I missed, and I just didn't have an episode. I was like, wait, did I just skip a number there? And so I went back into my other files, because I still have the original files from the episode, I still have the episode on my computer. And the episode existed plain as day, and I'm like, wait, I just completely missed an episode of season 4, or missed uploading an episode. I should upload that at some point. Maybe I'll put in the description or something like that. Congratulations, you found the last episode of season 4. I somehow forgot to upload this episode during the season, and didn't bother until years later when making the playlist. Actually, not even then. Making the next season's playlist, like 6 months after it ended. Actually, it's 9 months at this point. Wait, no, 6 months. A bit over 6 months. Because we started this season very end of August, early July. So this season has been going for officially 6 months within the last couple weeks. Fuck, that was the wrong thing. I did not need fireworks. I needed food, damn it. But yeah, so this season has been going for a bit over 6 months now. It's pretty good. Now, if I've gotten 24 episodes in a bit over 6 months, if I continue with my pace, which I probably won't, let's be real. But if I do continue, by the time the next academic year starts, I should be close to 50 episodes. And if we keep season 5 going at that point, because I'm not satisfied and want to finish this city, I will then probably make this the longest episode wise of Coolcraft. I don't know what the... I'm actually not entirely sure at the moment what the actually longest season of Coolcraft was. I know Season 1 is right up there in the contenders. I feel like Season 3 was the shortest, because Season 1 started mid-July, actually late July, mid to late July, and ended towards the end of August. Season 2 ended... When did Season 2 end? I know it was in the summer, because that's generally when that shit happens. I think it was in August. So it wasn't quite as long. Season 3 ended in June. So that was definitely why it was the shortest, right? Because we like started in August and we ended in June when 1.17 came out. Then Season 4 ended towards the beginning of August. So that was quite in the range for the contender. Remember, because we 1.19 had been out for a while, but we didn't update, and then it was like when I actually had a job that we actually went to start Season 5, and of course, then Season 5 ended late August from early August, so just over a year of Season 5. So by that logic, it's either Season 1 or 4 to be the longest seasons at this current point in time. Obviously, Season 6 currently ongoing. Who knows how long it's going to last. I could probably look it up. Which I know exactly how I could look it up to see which season actually has so far run for the longest period of time. But I have a feeling it is Season 1 at 1 year and almost a month. In fact, 1 year and a month, I think, is about right. But yeah, Season 2... Actually, in terms of, for this server, in terms of my favorite seasons, Season 1 and 2 are definitely stick out to me, because that was before the whole slump that happened in Season 3. As a whole, I'd say Season 1 was probably as a group, I'd say Season 1 was the best season for the group and the server entirely, because we had a fair amount of people who actually played on the server and other people who did a relative amount of things that wasn't just me. Jerry Cole actually didn't play too much. I also was like the first time I did stuff. Although for personally myself, I'd say Season 2, as I did a pretty cool project then. I did some also other stuff, and I had a pretty high episode count and enjoyed it a lot. But as a whole for the group, I think Season 2 was awful. I was basically the only one playing on Season 2 for a majority of the season. Similar to Season 3, except I didn't really play on there much at all. I was horrible in Season 3. Obviously, Season 4, I'd say, was pretty good. Jared Cole actually played a decent amount during the season. Tyler played some. Alright, time for the wool and the carpets. But in Season 4, I did actually finish my base up. Now, the Industrial District with all the farms... no. Did not do that. Or did not finish that, at least. Season 5 was interesting. I don't regard Season 5 as being all that bad. I'm currently looking back on it as like, yeah, that was pretty good. Even if I was just looking at the episodes like, wait, I've already passed that in episode count. Whoops. But that was because I did a very cool project in Season 5, obviously, the Industrial Rail stuff, which took up a majority of my time. And I was pretty satisfied with that, even if I didn't really build anything, or much, that was particularly impressive. But Jared Cool built a pretty sizable and interesting base. Obviously, Tyler actually did a decent amount there. It was all underground, so you couldn't see it all that well. But he did a decent amount. And then there's this season where, I mean, look at the progress we've made so far. Well, this was a really bad example of where to do that, because we're currently out, like, outer regions of the ocean. But downtown is pretty decent. It still needs to be filled in a bit more, but just the roads alone is a huge accomplishment in terms of the seasonal progress. But we do have plans to, I guess, build out more stuff. Not what that stuff is, mind you, but do more stuff in downtown here. JD Cole's planned out his entire area. Well, at least the grid-wise. I have ideas of where I'm headed with my area. Right over that way. And unfortunately, Tyler is not really going to be doing much this season because he got just completely uninspired. I'm in the wrong building, I just realized. It sucks. Really will suck if this is a longer season. As well. Yikes. I mean, I'd like him to, you know, do stuff like, okay, so what you haven't done much. You don't technically need to participate in the city anymore, I guess. That boat has kind of sailed at this point, anyway. When you didn't show up to help me build that in any way, and you've only shown up once to help with the road system. But hey, I'm doing pretty well for myself otherwise. Yeah, and we're going strong with and as I was saying, we're going strong with the videos. I don't think that's slowing down anytime soon, although this week and next week's videos may be of a bit lower quality, or a bit lower content, really, than some of the other recent episodes have been, because, once again, start of the month, I have shit to do on my free time. And now it's also after midterms. I doubt that's going to make much of a difference at the moment, but you never know. But yeah, hopefully I get more content-filled videos within the next couple weeks here. And then we're starting over again in April, where we're once again. I've got stuff to do. Less time for video making. In my already stressful schedule. Let's see. Woo! I'm not. Oh yeah. So I was looking at my video or my YouTube analytics in general today, and you know, I'd made a couple observations. First of all, the last live stream I did before I started live streaming again this year in October, or last year in October, that live stream has kind of finally died down in the views it was getting, because it was really weird that that stream was. It's getting, I don't know why, it was getting for a while like almost like a view, no, 7 views a day basically for a long time. It's almost at 3,000 views now as well. But I did notice that it's now only gotten 1 view in the last month, which is a significant drop, but not too much to be expected. But what I was really surprised about was just how many views my Railroads Online streaming got. That has a decent number of views. Also, I also noticed that the season 4 episode where I started building the piston bolt project, no doubt because of my clickbaiting, has over 400 views. Mind you, I don't think hardly any of those stuck around for very long once they realized that it was just some Let's Play with some guy building a thing, but I successfully clickbaited that one by the looks of things. I do remember that in Season 4, towards the end, I got a couple videos in a row that organically got over 100 views. That was impressive, and then I took a week off, and that magic did not continue. That was fun. I wish I could have continued with that, but hey. That's how it be. I've also noticed that it's probably January, due to like January, February type stuff. But my recent live streams, even the ones that I was thinking would probably get a few more of these, have not done as well. I've also somehow lost a subscriber, but who knows why in the world that happened. But yeah, I've completely gone away from the views have gone away from me even on the programming streams I do, which means that I've probably been doing stuff not as interesting in those, which to be fair I can see. But hey, some people still drop by at least. That's potentially a way I could do stuff a bit more as making programming videos. I really should make content out of the process of updating my game. That does sound like that could be an interesting thing. That'd also potentially get more people interested in the game as it broadcasts it on YouTube more. I really should self-advertise the game a bit more in more places, and like r/indie-dev, for instance, I think is a subreddit that could be a place where I could as a subreddit that I could potentially broadcast, hey, check out this thing that I've done in. There's probably other ways that I could do it. I could probably get it advertised on other sites or whatever. I'm just not really good with that sort of stuff. Basically the only sort of advertising I have for it is just this, which, hey, if you do happen to be watching right now and have not done the thing that is expertly recommended of checking out, then please check it out. Here's the link. It's on screen right now. It's also in the description if you just want to click it instead of typing it. But yeah, that's the link. Go there, check it out, all that sort of stuff. I need to add a button to my Stream Deck to display that. Ooh. Actually, I remember the reason why I originally had a thing on a different scene for that was because when we were in COVID and stuff on like video conferences and stuff, I was like, oh, to try to advertise my thing a bit more, I'll just have the link in the background, or I guess in front of my camera maybe, I don't know. So anyone who's interested, just go to that link and check it out. That was of course before I actually got the domain, so it was just in fact the raw link to that website. But hey. Let's see. Alright, let's see. What else can I talk about? Whew. Good thing we're almost done with the yellow here. Jeez. Oh yeah. I guess in the past couple weeks, with the snapshots that have come out, Mojang has made some quite significant changes to how the data packs and commands work, which is definitely interesting. So, primarily, and I think this is the whole reason why 1.20.5 hasn't come out yet, it's probably because of these changes. Yeah, they've basically changed the entire system. So NBT data, what's that? We have a new system now, which is a little bit more solid state and easier to use, I think. Some people hate it because it breaks everything, and I get it. Breaking everything is never a good thing. But I think it's an interesting new system. That adds some interesting stuff. They've also added some cool new things along with this for one thing. The ability for items that are crafted to now contain data. So like, you can craft an item or craft in a specific enchanted book now. That wasn't a thing that you could do before. I'll just make sure I don't have anything left. Okay. if you wanted to get a specific enchanted book, you could not get it through crafting. You could only craft a raw item. You couldn't say give a crafted item custom model data if you wanted to like fit that into your story. No, you had to somehow apply that data other ways. No! No, damn it. But now you can do that via crafting, which is so much better. Like, thank goodness for that. They're listening, you know, they're doing stuff. Obviously there's the wolf variants, so I don't really care about that, to be fair. Wolf variants are, you know, okay, I guess. I don't know, they're dogs, which I don't use anyway. Now in different colors, I guess. But hey, you can add your own variant. That's cool. Another cool feature that they added was the ability to, using commands, detect which item is currently being picked up in the inventory by the player. I think that's a cool feature. There's also some other stuff with like inventory reading and management, which is cool. But I think it's like, I think the fact that they're doing that is probably going to have like big impacts on what you can and cannot do with data packs. So something that is theoretically possible now is kind of like how all the server plugins in Java Edition, if there's an interface they want you to interact with to be able to click stuff, it's just a chest, maybe with a custom texture applied, but it is just a chest with items in it, and you're picking up items. You can theoretically now do that in vanilla Minecraft, well, at least the detecting when a player selects a specific item part of it, to make a chest GUI that is functional with vanilla Minecraft. And I think that's pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure if there's a way you can force a player to open a chest GUI without them actually clicking on a chest in vanilla, but I'm sure there's a way that the data packs will figure out to do that. If not, then there's just going to be a chest or barrel or something on the ground that you click on. Maybe it's been retextured or something that you can click on and it will pop open the fancy new GUI. This does open up this one simple thing opens up so many options for data packs. I approve. At the same time, though, I don't know what I was going to say there. I just wanted to say that. Let's get rid of a bunch of the stone out of here. Just going to go in my storage system after the stream. We are going to need a ton of white wool for this. Also might need some more yellow wool for the exit ramps, but we can get to that later. If we have it later in the stream, that is. Once again, I've run out of ideas for what to talk about. Something will probably come to me, but hey, if you're watching this stream right now, well, feel free to leave a message in chat. I will probably respond to it, considering yeah, there's no other chat messages at this point. I will probably notice. Oh, crap. Now, I don't entirely trust YouTube's viewership reporting, and sometimes it will report there's only one person when definitely more than one people are watching. Or sometimes it'll report there's no one watching while I'm watching, and then I'm like, how is that even possible? Anyhow. I don't know. YouTube's backend could be a bit clunky. I mean, it's probably content delivery, but still, it's like, how do you sort all this stuff out? Let's see. Pig head. Just casually strolling through the guts of the wool shop here. So big and impressive. There's a wolf farm in the top of it. Will you believe that? Actually, in this week's episode, I actually don't show it on camera, but I ended up having to come in here a few times to buy wool for stuff. Quite a few times, actually. Let's see how much money I've spent here so far. Then, oh, okay. Might be a bit hard to find. This would be an interesting way to play Minecraft, like this. Like, you can barely see 6 feet in front of you. That seems a bit steep for the amount of money I pumped in. I don't think I pumped in nearly that many diamonds. Although maybe. But I feel like that there has to be some diamonds in here from beforehand testing or whatever. That can't just be me. That would be a... No. I'm now all of a sudden confused. Or I'm all of a sudden afraid that I've almost spent a whole stack of diamonds on wool already this season. And the shop only recently officially opened. Okay. Actually, I did buy black wool from the shop way back when I built the International Trade Tower. I suppose that could be where, okay, so that's like 6 boxes there. I then bought, or that's like 4 boxes. I then bought like 6 boxes of black wool for what we did this week. It's like another 24 diamonds or whatever, I think. And then I started using shulker boxes to half the price. Bought some other colors. And, yeah, that's fun. I still don't think it's nearly that much, though. So maybe he's dropped some diamonds in while testing, I imagine. This seems quite steep for the amount of money I've spent there. Oh, I'm tired. Good, because I need to get to bed real early, right after the stream. Well, after I shower after the stream today. Oh, whenever that ends up being. Okay, so let's see. I've been live for 2 hours and 6 minutes now. It is 9 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States, and the WAN show has yet to start. Big surprise! Woo! Alright, we have made... I was about to say we've made some progress here on the highway today. We definitely have. But I realize it's not really that much progress. But we've added a couple strips of glowstone, off-ramps, and then a couple strips of stone on the top, and now we're putting some carpet in 2 hours. I have paused a few times, but man, compared to what we did last time, I guess I'll get this side done first. Let's see. Also, at some point I gotta go and remove these cherry trees from downtown here. They are kind of an eyesore on the middle of the road. They're overhanging blocks and blocking cars. Like a tall truck could just get clipped on some of these branches. It's not safe. Not safe at all. But hey, I've got other things I gotta do. You know, something I should probably do at some point, maybe in a live stream, is putting all the traffic lights around here. I mean, you can see in the schematic there's supposed to be traffic lights, but yeah, I haven't done shit for that. Let's see. The sound of carpet placement has filled my ears now. Listening to it for a long time now. Whew. And we get more wool. Boop, boop. Oh man, let's see. Oh, there's a vibration from my phone. It's the WAN show. Wow, it's actually a little bit earlier than I thought I would be going. Anyhow, with that being said, I might do a little bit more on the highway, or maybe not. And I was just recapping what we're doing. So anyhow, I'm going to have to say thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to leave a like on the stream out. And, wow, that was bad. Leave a like on your way out on the stream and subscribe. Ring the bell so that you'll be notified of future streams like this one, and I will see you all in the next thing that I do.